Hello, my name is Jenna and I am at SEYA Bookfest in Murfreesboro, Tennessee with the wonderful Kathryn Ormsbee. And if you don't know Kathryn, she has a new book coming out in June called Tash Tolstoy. This is a wonderful book and I really love it because it has some great ace rep, and it's about this girl who has a web series, and it's basically the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, but with Anna Karenina, because who doesn't love that, right? So I think a really big question that a lot of people have is Tash Tolstoy own voices?
I don't personally say that it's own voices. I identify as demi and as bi. So Tash is heteroromantic ace, so there's this like difference there. But I did base Tash's experience so much on my own experience, and a lot of that was informed by my experience and also the experiences of some friends. Yeah, I also gave it to sensitivity readers, got a lot of feedback, and it was just such an amazing experience hearing from different readers and hearing their inputs and changes, and that experience alone just made it such a rewarding writing experience.
I know me personally, it was really great, even though it like wasn't technically own voices. Like it really felt like an own voices book, so it was like really weird but wonderful. I think a really interesting thing is it feels like the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, so I'm like, is that where you got this idea? Or like where did this idea come from?
Yeah, so I love Lizzie Bennet Diaries. I got obsessed. I was watching it like live as it happened, so waiting every week for another installment. And actually one of my good friends who's also a YA author, Destiny Soria, she and I decided that we'd do our own web series, and we wanted to do a Shakespearean adaptation. But we were very ambitious and we decided we'd do a mashup. So we chose Hamlet, Much Ado About Nothing, and Romeo and Juliet, and we picked characters from each of them. We modernized it and then we mashed them up together and we called it Shakes. So it took place in a town called Shakes.
That's so cool.
So we did 2 seasons of that. The second season was the Weird Sisters, because I feel like they get a bad rap.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Witchy sisters are the best. I loved Lizzie Bennet Diaries. I loved a lot of adaptations that came out of that, because I think it inspired us. It inspired a lot of filmmakers to create projects. But it's such a weird and wonderful experience. And so I wanted to capture what she and I did, because it was super low budget. It was just with a DSLR and like basic equipment and just friends and like other actors that we found working for free. But it was such an amazing short period of time during which we filmed. So I wanted to put that down on the page.
Definitely. And why Tolstoy?
I love Tolstoy.
Okay, that makes sense.
So when I was a teen, I was obsessed with Russia. I still am. But I love Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, and I'll admit I like Dostoevsky better. So,
what can you do, right?
But loved Anna Karenina. I think there's so many good adaptations of it as well. I really like the Joe Wright adaptation.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a bit loose perhaps, but it's gorgeous the way it's made.
What do you hope that readers would get out of reading Tash?
Yeah, I think, different readers are going to bring different experiences to the table. One thing that's huge for me is the ace rep. I have friends and family who, when I told them about the book, they're like, what does ace mean? What does asexual even mean? It's not a conversation that we're really having.
Yeah, I agree.
So for someone who doesn't have that experience, I want them to see that on the page and realize that it's just another way of looking at sexuality.
Yeah.
And then for people who do have that experience, that maybe in some small way they can see that experience reflected, because my philosophy when I'm writing is I write the books that I wanted to read when I was those ages. So I write middle grade fantasy. I was a huge fantasy buff, especially when I was in middle school. But then for my YA, my first book was about a homeschooler. I was homeschooled and I never saw a homeschooler in a book. And then the second one, I really wanted to reflect in some way what I experienced growing up. I was never boy crazy. I didn't understand this obsession.
Me too.
And it was so reflected in all these books, and it wasn't cool if I wanted to read something that wasn't romance heavy or that wasn't sex saturated. So I wanted to put that down in a book, and I hope that if there are teens who have that same experience, that they're able to see Tasha as a way to see themselves on the page, or see parts of themselves on the page, or better understand the people in their lives who do identify as ace or on the ace spectrum.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge part of why I love this book. And kind of going off of that, I know we talked a lot about diversity recently in the book community, and asexuality I think definitely fits into that conversation. But what does like diversity in books mean to you specifically?
The beautiful thing about books is that they put you in someone else's shoes and they give you a view of the world that you wouldn't have experienced otherwise. And I think that when we're talking about diverse books, especially own voices books, they're so important because they give you the chance to look at the world through eyes completely different from your own, and that creates such an amount of empathy. I joke with my sister sometimes because we read the Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Yeah.
And I was saying that's the best way to develop empathy because you're not the character, but you are. So if you choose a path that like makes you die, it affects you.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's really healthy for just your emotional development. To me, you know, the more diverse we can make our books, the more diverse authors we can bring into the publishing field, the better, because we're just sharing our experiences and creating more empathy. And the more you understand someone else's experience, the less you're likely to fall into a trap of xenophobia and to categorize those people. And it just becomes a shared experience where you're able to respect that other person's viewpoint.
Kind of going more off of the writing process, like what's your favorite thing about writing?
My favorite thing about being an author are events like this, because I get to meet young readers. My favorite thing about writing is probably just the revision process, like right after I finish the draft, which is not a fun process for me. It's just like vomiting all those words out, and it feels like I've been possessed for like a couple months, and I'm like feral, and I smell bad because I haven't showered. But when I start to revise it, and it's just like hacking away at all the excess material, and you're really finding your characters and finding your voice, there's something about that experience that's just so euphoric. I love it.
That's so cool. I don't hear about a lot of authors who are like, I love the revision process. So.
Right, it sounds like a goody two-shoes thing to say. Like, is my editor watching? I love my revisions.
I know a lot of authors like to write to music. Is that something that you do?
Yeah, normally I can't draft when I'm listening to music, especially if it has words. Like sometimes I can draft to wordless music. But it's really important when I'm revising, especially when I'm doing like line edits, copy edits. I just need something to keep the blood pumping. And it's actually one of my downfalls because when I'm procrastinating working on a project, I'm just fiddling with a playlist. So I have like one playlist for every book. I'm like, it needs to be in the proper order, so everything like is synchronized with every chapter. So I spend way too much time doing that, but I do. I love it. And Tash, in particular, I used a lot of churches because
churches is great.
They are. They're featured in the book, but they're one of those bands that like really gets your blood pumping. And you get like on that church's high.
I know in Tash you mentioned, well, Tash really likes St. Vincent. Is that like your favorite artist?
She's not my favorite, but I really love St. Vincent.
Who's your favorite artist then?
Oh man, I can't choose.
Okay, like top 3.
Okay, love Arcade Fire. I'll say the music that I listen to most when I'm writing. It's probably Arcade Fire and Metric. Emily Haynes is just like, my style again. She's amazing. I have to throw it, my parents raised me on 60s and 70s, and so I really love Stevie Nicks.
She's a classic.
I named my first YA character after her.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to say Stevie.
One thing that I always ask authors is the typical, it's like writing advice, but what's something that you wish someone had told you when you were starting out writing?
Because I got in this process pretty young. I got my agent when I was 19, and I felt like I was flying blind because I really just didn't have any resources. The internet, like, it was just at the beginning when agents were accepting email queries. Like, it was still that new. So I wish someone had told me what to ask for in an agent, because I just felt so timid and I felt so young, and I felt like anything that was offered me, like, yes, okay, fine, I'll settle for that. But I wish they had told me, you know, just like stick with your expectations, don't lower those. Same as like if you want to date, like don't lower those expectations, like wait for the right fit. And just as far as like writing itself, this amazing piece of advice from Ira Glass, which I've never heard it said better than him, so you should probably listen to him say it, not me. But essentially, if you love reading and you're used to good books, you'll know what good writing looks like. But as you're writing, you're going to realize that your writing doesn't match up to that quality. And it's easy in that process to get really discouraged and think, okay, I just don't have what it takes. Like, I'm not a Mozart. I can't immediately put out good content. But it's important to keep in mind that, like anything, writing is like a muscle. You just have to keep exercising it. And you have to keep writing crap. Just like write a bunch of crap. Like, I don't write good first drafts. They're like,
I don't think anybody does.
Awful. No, unless you're a complete prodigious genius, like, which I am not, it'll look bad. But keep pressing past that point and keep writing, and eventually you're gonna create maybe a sentence or a paragraph and be like, yes, I've created something good. It will happen, I promise.
I always like to do a quick little lightning round at the end.
Okay.
So it'll be just a minute, and it shouldn't be really hard questions, but we'll see. All right, so what is your Hogwarts house?
It's Gryffindor. Pottermore says so, but I've got a lot of Slytherin, so I like to say Slytherdor.
Okay, all right. What are you currently reading?
It's called The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt, and it's actually nonfiction. And it's about politics and religion.
What's your Myers-Briggs?
INTP.
What's one favorite book that you read in 2016? Or any book.
I love The Serpent King. Jeff's great, and the book was amazing.
What's your Patronus?
Oh, I did Pottermore for this too. It was a ragdoll cat. That's what it was.
What's your zodiac sign?
Cancer.
What's one thing on your bucket list?
To go dog sledding, which I'm going to do next week.
Ooh, that's exciting. What's a fictional character that you relate to?
Luna Lovegood.
Do you like horror movies or rom-coms?
Horror.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Star Wars or Harry Potter?
Star Wars.
Movies or TV?
TV.
All right.
Hey!
And that's that. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. This was so much fun. Definitely check out Tash Tolstoy. It comes out in June. And if you finish reading it, let's all talk in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye.
Bye.